Where's the line between oversharing and undersharing? How do you know when it's too much, too soon to be sharing with someone else versus keeping yourself closed off and hidden and disconnected? What's the difference between being authentic and genuine and giving too much and kind of letting it all hang out versus keeping ourselves too private and too closed off? Well, today I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to give you a really powerful tool that you'll be able to use and take with you to kind of know in those situations when you're like, what's okay to share and what's not okay to share, something that you'll be able to use right away. If you're new to me, and this is the first time you're here and the first time we're connecting, my name is Kristina. I'm a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, and an online course creator. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, and I help heart-centered go-getter men and women break through fear and self-doubt so that they can love who they are and step into their power. And they don't teach this stuff in school. They don't teach us how to know what's appropriate sharing and what's inappropriate sharing, because what can happen when we overshare, when we share too much with someone that we don't know whether or not they can handle it, whether or not the relationship is strong enough, whether or not we can even trust them. What can happen is if we share too much too soon, either that person will betray our trust because we didn't actually know that we could trust them, we don't know them well enough, and they might not be able to hold the space for us. They might not be able to be sensitive to what we're going through. They might not be interested in hearing it, or they might push us away, which can be really hurtful. It can actually make things worse if we are sharing too much with someone that we haven't established a solid enough relationship with to know whether or not we can trust them and what we can trust them with. The other thing that can happen when we share too much too soon is we can get something called a vulnerability hangover. And what this is when we are really vulnerable, when we've kind of opened ourselves up, when we've kind of shared a lot with someone. If you've ever had this happen, let me know if you've ever had this happen. If you've shared a lot and then you kind of go away feeling like, oh my gosh, what just happened? I feel totally exposed. Maybe I feel even like I'm standing here in full frontal nudity, totally just like exposed and uncomfortable. And I want to just kind of put it all back in, but I can't because it's out there. That's a vulnerability hangover, when we're kind of like, why did I say that? Why did I go down that road? Why did I divulge all that information? I just feel really uncomfortable right now. That can also happen in close relationships when we are dealing with something and we feel like, we're revealing it maybe for the first time. We can feel really exposed. But it happens more often in relationships that aren't as close, where we kind of get carried away and share too much. But a lot of us don't know where the boundary is. We don't know where that line is. We don't know where the line is between being authentic and kind of spraying it all out there. And I love a couple of the metaphors that Dr. Brene Brown, who is a PhD social worker and researcher, and she creates brilliant metaphors. And she used this metaphor to talk about oversharing and why it can be harmful, why it can be even sometimes dangerous for us. Because when we overshare in a relationship that isn't strong enough, that isn't solid enough, that isn't deep enough to handle that, what can happen is we overshare, we share too much, and it's almost like we're turning on the floodlights. We didn't give people a chance to ease into the intimacies of our lives, of our inner worlds, of the stuff that's going on with us, our pain, our struggles, whatever it is. We haven't eased them into it. So it's like all of a sudden we barely know them and we turn on the floodlights. Here it is. I'm telling you everything, all of the things that I've been through, the stuff that's happened to me, the deep, dark things that I think and feel. And if the person if the relationship can't withstand that, what happens? What is the first thing that you would do if someone came at you, like literally, and put floodlights on you? What's the first thing you would do? You'd cover your eyes. You'd cower. You'd take a step back. You might even turn and walk away. And so for those of you who have felt that when you've shared things and someone has closed you off, shut you out, and walked away, that it's because it may have been too much, too soon. And it's not even necessarily that they're a bad person. It's because they weren't expecting it. It's because it was too much. And it's not because you're a bad person. You didn't know. Maybe you thought this relationship was safe. Maybe you thought that you trusted this person. Maybe you thought that it was okay to do that. But it can be really harmful and hurtful to us if we are being vulnerable, open and honest, and then somebody puts up the blinders, puts up the blocks, and walks away. So that's why we have to be mindful and conscious of that. And I'm going to tell you about how to kind of do that, but I want to give you one more metaphor as well. And this is the other one. And this is Dr. Brene Brown's. This is her metaphor as well. And she talks about the smash and grab. So there's floodlighting where it's too much too soon. And then there's the smash and grab. And this one often comes about for those of us who are struggling when we're in the middle of something, when we're like feeling it, like something has happened. We're in a lot of pain, that inner turmoil, the stomach flipping, the tightness in the chest, the hotness in the head. We don't know what to do. We might even feel like we might explode or implode, and our emotions are right at the surface. And so we lash out. We lash out. Maybe we say something like we say way too much. We maybe even say something kind of inflammatory or provocative. We say something to kind of grab people's attention. If someone's like, oh my gosh, like I got in a car accident on the way to work and I bent up my fender and, like I can't believe this happened. And then you come back with, well, yeah, you think that's bad? Well, like my parents abandoned me when I was a child and I've been on my own ever since. And, like I've never really felt real love or whatever it is. Where it's because the emotions are right up at the surface in that moment and we just smash out whatever it is. It almost comes out in anger to grab whatever attention we can get. So we're smashing it out there. It's that aggressive energy, and because we are struggling and we're trying to get that attention. What we really want is to be heard and comforted and understood. What we really want is people to come close to us, but in those moments we lash out, we push people away, and then what happens? We say, see, no one cares. See, I'm struggling, I'm going through something, and no one cares. So then we blame other people and say it's them, instead of realizing that we almost just like assaulted them with the things that we're going through. As humans, I don't know why this is, but we often have a really hard time actually just asking for what we need. Actually just saying, I'm struggling right now and I could use a listening ear. I could use some words of encouragement. I could use some support. So what is appropriate sharing, and how do we know what appropriate sharing is? And a key rule to live by, kind of a key tool that you can use to get a handle on this one, is to think about the depth of the relationship. So the depth of intimacy, the depth of information, how much we reveal to someone out of the depths of who we are and the intimate places of who we are. We share that to the parallel level, the parallel depth of the relationship. And so if it's a surface relationship, we share surface information. And then we give a little bit more and kind of see if the relationship can withstand it. And that brings that to the next level where we build more trust, we build more emotional intimacy, and then we share maybe a little bit more. But if we're up here, if the relationship is up here and we are sharing information that's like way down here, like the deep stuff, the relationship can't withstand it and it will come crashing down. More often than not, we'll oftentimes end up feeling like, why doesn't anybody care? Why do people always turn their back on me? Why is no one there to support me when I need it most? So the rule is to think about and really to share information with the people who have earned the right to hear it. So sharing that deep, more intimate information, not with strangers on the internet, not with people that you meet on the street corner, not with your hairdresser, not with the butcher. Sharing that deeper information with people who are at that deeper level of relationship and use it as parallel. So that is the rule to go by, and also to be not overly paranoid about trust, but to be mindful of trust. Sometimes we trust people who have not earned that trust. And absolutely, if someone has earned your trust, they deserve your trust. But if someone hasn't earned your trust, have they really earned the right to hear that stuff, to go to that level, to go to those depths with you? Is it safe? Is it advisable? I don't think so. I think we really need to be mindful of this. I think we really need to be cognizant of, especially with the internet these days. And sometimes people share all of their personal details of their lives, and it's not safe. You're not going to get your needs met by strangers on the internet. Like, maybe it does feel good to get some support, some words of advice, some encouragement, but building those real relationships and having those real conversations, you need to have those real time. And maybe you can meet people on the internet and develop those deeper relationships and then share the more personal stuff. And some people might totally disagree with me on this one and be like, it's totally fine to air all your dirty laundry and share everything on the internet. And if it's working for you and it's feeling great and it's helping you and you're growing and you're healing through doing that, then absolutely power to you. But if it's not, and you're ending up feeling more frustrated and hurt and disconnected by doing that, then this is likely why. Having those healthy boundaries, learning where those healthy boundaries are for ourselves, respecting those boundaries, respecting other people's boundaries, and being cognizant of and respecting our own are huge. If boundaries are something that you struggle with, I have a download. It's called 25 Ways to Say No. And this is just something to kind of kickstart and get you started. If you have a hard time tuning into and allowing yourself to stand up, this is going to get things going for you and sort of give you a little bit of a kickstart in that one. Grab that download, 25 Ways to Say No. Come and join my Facebook group, GoodForMeGroup.com, full of kind, supportive, caring, compassionate men and women. Like the video, share it out, subscribe to the channel so that we can stay connected. And I promise to do my best to not overshare. Take good care.